Ciao a tutti e benvenuti a Coffee Break Italian.
Welcome to the Coffee Break Italian Show. Io sono Francesca.
E io sono Mark. Come stai, Francesca?
Bene, grazie. Tu?
Benissimo, grazie.
In these weekly episodes, we are here to help you building your confidence in Italian, developing your vocabulary, your awareness of the language, and also interesting structures. Basically, everything surrounding our beautiful Italian language.
Now, if you are watching our video version, then you can subscribe to our channel on YouTube. And if you're listening to the podcast feed, then make sure you subscribe to the podcast feed. Allora, Francesca, cos'è l'argomento di oggi?
Oggi parliamo di un argomento legato alla fonetica italiana.
So, pronunciation topic here. We're looking at...
Well, we are looking at how to pronounce GLI in Italian.
You know, it's one of the questions that we get most often here at Coffee Break Italian. How do you pronounce this GLI sound? And after today's lesson, you'll know exactly how to do that.
Sì, è vero. Allora dai, cominciamo. Mark.
So, Francesca, we need to hear this in some contexts, don't we? GLI.
Sì. Well, I'm sure a lot of our listeners are already familiar with the definite article gli.
Yeah.
Which is the sound which we are going to discuss in today's episode.
Exactly. And it's probably the hardest Italian sound to pronounce. And Italian pronunciation generally isn't too complicated. But when it comes to gli, it is a little more challenging.
That's true, Mark, because it's a sound that is not very common across the languages. So it always requires a little bit of, let's say, gymnastics in a way.
Tongue gymnastics.
Esatto. And this is the sound that we find in common words like figlio, scoglio, maniglia. I'm thinking of tagliatelle.
Oh, mamma mia, tagliatelli. Probably one of the most badly pronounced words out with Italian learners. Tagliatelle.
Esatto.
But, yeah, you mentioned those words there, so just let's make sure we know what they mean. So figlio, son. Or, scoglio is a cliff.
Sì, a cliff, a rock. When you go to the seaside, you can jump from the scogli. Careful though.
Indeed. Maniglia is the handle.
Sì, la maniglia della porta.
And then tagliatelle, obviously a type of pasta.
Esatto, sì.
Okay, so I think there's probably a technique that we can use. If you find this li sound difficult to pronounce, we're going to talk you through the technique, and as you're listening or watching, try to do this with your tongue as you're doing it.
Esatto. It's a good way to practice this sound.
Do you want to lead off in this, Francesca?
See, I would say probably the first thing that we can do, instead of jumping directly into the sound gli, let's take a step back and let's think of the sound, the closest sound, which is the sound l.
So a kind of L sound.
L. So if you pronounce the sound l, just be conscious, aware of what is happening in your mouth and with your tongue. And if you do like l, you can probably see that your tongue is going up towards the palate, with the tip of the tongue pointing a little bit up towards the teeth.
Yeah, so if you imagine the kind of picture of where your tongue is going in your mouth, it is just heading up, as Francesca said, just behind the front teeth and touching the sort of front of the palate.
Esatto. We can say simple words like filo.
Filo, so un filo is a thread.
Filo. Or pala.
Pala, spade.
Shovel, spade.
So these are just L sounds. These are not the L sounds. This is just an L sound. And when we think about when we talk, our tongue does things that we don't even know.
We're not usually aware.
So it's important, especially when we're thinking about pronunciation, to try to train your mind into seeing what's actually happening with your tongue. So for sound, we're putting the tongue behind our teeth and just at the front of the palate.
Esatto.
But what happens for li?
Let's say that we lead on that movement But imagine your tongue spreading across the palate, so taking more space, taking up more space, and pointing a little bit more forward.
Okay, so your whole tongue then begins to sort of, as Francesca said, take over the top of the palate, and you can push the main body of your tongue towards the top of your mouth, and put the tip of your tongue just a little bit further forward.
And spreading the tongue.
So we get?
So from a L, we get a Y.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a little bit of breath that comes through there as well. That changes from place to place, I think.
See. But maybe you can feel a little bit of breath coming out from the side. Yeah.
Could we practice this?
Yeah, let's practice the switch from a L to Y. L, Y.
L, Y.
Aha, L, Y.
L, Y.
Molto bene, bravissimo. And I hope you're doing the same aloud.
Absolutely, yeah. Even if you're listening to this on a crowded train, we want you to be saying this L, Y.
See, you can inspire the others in this way.
Tell them to learn with Coffee Break Italian.
And maybe if you smile, that also helps. Yeah.
I've just got this image of lots of people on trains going, smiling away to themselves.
And the others doing. Okay, so let's put this sound into some words just containing the sound gli, so G-L-I.
Yeah.
Ad esempio, figli.
Figli.
Children, or sons.
Yeah.
Mogli.
Mogli. Again, we're hearing that little breath sound coming down the side of our tongue. Mogli.
And scogli.
Scogli. So that would be wives and cliffs or rocks.
Sì, esatto, perfetto. We can also add an additional vowel after the sound gli and have words like, for example, figlio.
Let's say it first of all. Figlio, so son.
Sì.
But this is really important here that we're seeing that although it's spelled G-L-I-O, we're not saying figlio.
No.
It's figlio.
Esatto. It's really important to remember that the letter I in that case is there more for phonetic reasons to tell you that it's not figlo. So it's not really a letter that you want to emphasize when you pronounce, but it's only there for spelling reasons.
Another word that comes to mind is a lovely word for rabbit, coniglio.
Ah sì, una bella parola, coniglio, molto bene.
Coniglio.
Perfetto. Okay. E poi di nuovo il singolare, abbiamo visto mogli, adesso il singolare moglie.
Moglie.
E poi foglie. Leaves, sì.
Foglie.
Molto bene. E come si dice tablecloth?
Una tovaglia.
Tovaglia, bravissimo. E una parola ancora, when you fancy something, ad esempio, di un gelato.
Anch'io. Voglia,
bravissimo.
So each time we're hearing that y sound, and it's this y sound in your mouth, I always feel that you can really feel that y in your mouth.
Sì. And you can tell the difference because, for example, we have seen the word figli, children or sons, and it's different from fili.
Of course, yes. So we've got fili, just with an L, a single L, meaning threads.
Sì.
And then we've got figli, that y sound. Then that means children or sons.
Esatto. And I'm also thinking about the word scogli.
So the rocks or cliffs.
Sì. And the verb scoli, as in tu scoli la pasta.
Right, so that's drain, to drain the pasta.
Scolare, sì.
Okay, so scoli, and there's just an L in there, scoli versus scogli.
Sì, so this is to show that there are two rather different sounds, which also affect the meaning of the words.
Esatto. Ho una domanda, Francesca.
Sì.
Do we, obviously I know gli, the definite article gli, but I can't think of any other words where GLI starts the word.
It's not very common, but if we have a GLI syllable at the start of a word, that's actually a gli
Right.
sound.
Okay. So can you give me an example of that?
Sì, ad esempio, glicine.
You'll need to help me here. That's a new word for
I
me.
think in English is wisteria.
Wisteria, the plant, the
Sì,
tree.
sì.
We've got one in our back garden. It's very nice.
So glicine, it's not glicine. And if you think it would be quite difficult to say glicine with the gli sound at the start. Sì. Un altro esempio è glissare.
Glissare, cosa vuol dire?
Significa, I think in English, to skirt or to move forward when you don't really want to spend time talking about something and you want to move on.
Let's move on. Possiamo glissare.
Glissare su questo argomento.
Okay,
sì.
Ho capito.
So it's not glissare, but glissare with a hard gl.
So that's
sound.
when GLI begins the word and it's not gli.
Esatto, sì.
Okay. I'm looking at my notes here, and there is another aspect of GL that we have to recognize, and that's the fact that very often we see GL in other words like inglese.
Sì.
And that's just a normal gl.
Esatto, sì. If there is no letter I, then it's pronounced as a hard sound.
So inglese.
Inglese, sì. Or gladiatore.
Gladiator, yes.
Glutine.
So gluten?
Gluten. Globo.
Is that a balloon?
Sì, or the globe as in the word.
Okay.
Sì, so it's not yobo. Something that I cannot even say. So it's a gl sound. Sì.
Okay. Now, I remember when we were recording some other Coffee Break Italian content and we were joined by Silvia. And Silvia had a different pronunciation of gli.
È vero, Mark, you remember very well. Silvia was from the beautiful region of Le Marche in the center of Italy. And as it happens in Italy very often, we can change a little bit our pronunciation depending on where we come from in Italy. And Silvia had a specific feature of Le Marche when it comes to pronouncing the y sound, which is pronounced as y instead.
So she would have said figlio.
Figlio, sì,
or,
sì.
Famiglia.
Famiglia, sì.
That's nice, but and perhaps slightly easier to pronounce than figlio and famiglia.
Sì.
Of course, as with so many things, when you're a learner, native speakers know you're a learner, and it doesn't really matter if you don't get this sound perfectly, because most often than not, the context will help you know what you're talking about.
Sì. But it's good to be aware of this variation, and if you go to Rome as well, you could hear figlio, and in some parts of the south of Italy as well. So it's interesting.
Perfetto. We hope that you have enjoyed this lesson, and if you'd like to see the examples that we've included in the show written down, then you can see our blog post, which includes all the details that you need, and the link for that is in the description.
Sì, and if you would like more help with your Italian, then you can subscribe to regular free email lessons.
We offer lots of different types of lessons, some focusing on pronunciation, some on vocabulary, some on grammar, all sorts of different lessons, and these arrive in your inbox, and you don't need to do anything else. You can simply enjoy your Italian lesson from your inbox on a regular basis.
Sì, just visit coffeebreaklanguages.com/Italian.
We will be back next week. In the meantime, you can look out for that next mini lesson in your inbox if you've subscribed. But for now, è tutto. È tutto per oggi.
Sì, grazie mille. Come sempre, happy coffee breaking.
Ciao, ciao. You have been listening to a Coffee Break Languages production for the Radio Lingua Network. Copyright 2023 Radio Lingua Limited. Recording copyright 2023 Radio Lingua Limited. All rights reserved.